around here, but there are a number of trees right here on the old studio lot that just came down. I remember walking out of the station, out of the door over here, and standing here, and you could hear pow, pow, power stations going, popping, and you could look off in the distance, see all the power going out. And literally, for weeks, people didn't have power right here in the Charlotte area.
That was going to be my question. So I looked at, official data. That's what we have. We who aren't as cool, who weren't here in 1989, who were in Charlotte even, and it said 85% of the city lost power. I mean, I can't even imagine current Charlotte, even just the metro in general. 85% of people lose power.
You think that was everybody, and obviously hospitals, medical facilities, fire stations had to keep their power, but there were people literally without power for 3 weeks. We didn't have it for a couple of weeks. It was strange. It was like, and when you drove around the city of Charlotte, there were trees down and power lines. There were people trapped in neighborhoods for days that couldn't get out. And I remember that back at that time, because people didn't have power, neighborhoods would come out, and because you had no power, everything in the refrigerator would go bad. So people were like having barbecues out in the neighborhood, cooking, what they had in the refrigerator. And it brought people together. There was a time of, you'd never experienced anything like this. So there was a camaraderie that we had just because we were all experiencing this catastrophe right here in Charlotte.
This has never happened before. How are we supposed to prepare for it?
Yeah, there was no preparedness for a hurricane in Charlotte. It was just unheard of. That's a once-in-a-lifetime, hopefully, event that happens. And it did, made us all cognizant of the fact that, there are things like severe weather, severe storms. Be prepared, let people know what to do. Not that we hadn't said something about that, but 34 years ago was a whole different situation in the way that we dispense information to the public. And just know to always think ahead. If you have a vision about things and know that here's what I should do if this does happen, then you're not going to panic.
Honestly, it was really cool to be out there with Larry. I know, the word cool just seems kind of weird, but
I like cool.
Yeah,
so cool.
But one of the reasons why we moved into our current building was because of Hugo, which I guess I never realized. And it had been about, he said, almost 34 years since he had been there. Maybe worked out a little bit after the storm, but after they moved in here, it was not at all. So it was cool to go back there with sweet Larry, who I love so much, and just watch him reminisce. But a very intense storm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Alrighty, 5:37 now, and we're asking, where's the money? Now this time it's over how we pay our restaurant workers. There's this growing push to end the minimum wage for waiters and waitresses who make money off of tips. These salaries can be between $2 and $10 an hour. Now people supporting the measure say this will end exploitation of certain groups, but opponents argue that both worker pay and restaurant profit are both going to drop. So let's get into an article from CNBC. The push starts in the Midwest. The country's third largest city is getting ready to get rid of the sub-minimum wage. Chicago is a foodie capital with dozens of thousands of tip-earning workers. But this move has uncertain consequences for both workers and owners. Still, the effort to increase minimum wages is making its way across the country. On the exploitation point that we mentioned earlier, it's the possibility that earning tips could be impacted by your sex, age, race, or even how attractive patrons see their servers. The top question, though, is where this money is going to come from. It's part of the reason why even restaurant owners are split on the issue. Now, some businesses say raising the wage can help them maintain those skilled workers. And others argue the effort will take a bite out of those profit margins. Making up for the cost, of course, could be dependent on driving up the price of your plate as well. So I got us asking this morning, there's a lot of factors here, but do you think minimum wage should be raised for workers earning tips? Make sure you text us at 704-329-3600. Guys?
All right, Kia, thanks.
Of course, we're asking, where's the money? So more couples are breaking up over financial concerns. An Intuit Credit Karma survey is breaking it down by generation. About a third of Gen Zers and millennials are ending their relationships over money. Now remember, Gen Z is the newest generation, the oldest being about 26 right now. And millennials are between 27 and 42. More than a third of both generations say they would break up with their partner if they didn't share the same money values as them. That's 38 and 36% respectively. Still, that same survey showed most young couples are actually willing to put off those tough talks on money until moving in together or even getting engaged or married. Now, for more than half of couples in each group, money is a point of contention. So here's a solution. There's this growing trend of what folks are calling money dates, and it's done a few different ways. Whether it's a candlelight dinner or a night in the house, the purpose of the date is to have an open conversation about finances with your partner. It's why we're asking this morning, should money be considered in a relationship? Make sure you text us at 704-329-3600. Guys, this is a tough one because it can be considering how much your partner makes, how much you make, what you think of your income to cost of living ratio should look like. It's a lot of tough questions to have with your partner.
Yeah, but you also say for richer or poorer when you get married, so that can always change throughout your lifetime together.
I remember the first time Brad said to me, we need to talk about our financial future. And he took out a whiteboard and started drawing numbers. And I'm like,
you were like,
huh?
Numbers?
What?
I'm a journalist. Don't show me all these numbers.
What are you talking about? We made it somehow. All right, Kia, thanks.
With your help, WCNC Charlotte is making a difference in our community.
Beautiful day, so many people helping. This is incredible.
Let's spread that love tonight.
Here is a $5,000 check that you guys can use to further the mission.
There is nothing on earth like the feeling of giving back with your hands.
$5,000 to you and Block Love Charlotte for what you guys do.
If you'd like to make a difference, go to WCNC.com/make-a-difference now.
That's when we make the news make sense. The rally at the airport, part of a recent trend of workers walking out while on the job. And one current strike, the Hollywood writer strike, which began back in May. And soon all of us could start to see the fallout. Strikes in Hollywood have no end in sight. And now studios are being forced to flip the script. Let's connect the dots. This year, the lineups on your favorite channels will look a little different. You'll see a lot more reality and game shows like The Voice or American Ninja Warrior. For context, on CBS last year, scripted shows made up about 75% of what aired on primetime. This fall, it's down to about 14%. There will be some new scripted shows. Here on NBC, the network is licensing shows that already aired overseas. If the networks have a successful season with all these changes, it could mean a lasting change in the kinds of shows we get to watch on TV. And that is Connecting the Dots.
This morning, the developer of a controversial project in Huntersville now says it's all over. The Laguna Bay project, later known as Waterside, initially promised a 270-acre beach-style resort in northern Mecklenburg County, but the community quickly fired back. Wake Up Charlotte's Destiny Richards joins us now. And Destiny, so many people sharing their thoughts with us on social media, both in support and against canceling the project.
That's right. Laguna Bay faced pushback really from the beginning. And the developer, Jake Polillo, says he has no regrets about calling off the whole thing.
Plans for a resort-style development in Huntersville are no more. The mixed-use development would have featured housing options, retail, a membership clubhouse, dining, and a convention center, all built around a man-made lagoon.
Zoning played the biggest factor. You know, when they disallowed the density and reduced the density and reduced the use, then you create more element of risk.
Jake Polillo with Bipart Development tells WCNC Charlotte there were not only zoning problems, but he would have had to adjust the design, and he didn't want to downsize. Polillo also blames the economy. A for sale sign is already back up on the property where Laguna Bay would have been built. But it's a win for those who have been saying Laguna Nay from the start.
Your constituents have already very clearly told you what they want. And it's definitely not a big touristy circus and cement pond in this peaceful little rural area.
While it was ultimately Polillo's decision to walk away, he's still taking a hit.
If you call $800,000 a lot of money, yeah, that's what I'm going to lose.
And Polillo says with the Laguna Bay project gone, it's only a matter of time before another developer picks up where he left off, but he's on to the next one. Live in Huntersville this morning, I'm Destiny Richards, Wake Up Charlotte.
Verify, WCNC Charlotte.
Verify is all about trying to make a difference in the community by making sure that the community has the correct information. This is what we know, and hey, this is what we don't know. Sometimes you're actually surprised by the answer.
Verify the difference.
Verify is a great way to combat that misinformation, making sure that people know the process of the reporting.
But first tonight, domestic violence homicides are on the rise in the Tar Heel state. And thanks for joining us for the news at 11. I'm Jane Monreal. State data showing this year the total already exceeding last year's count. That as 35% of women and 30% of men experience domestic violence right here in North Carolina. Local ministries tell us tonight there are simply not enough resources to meet the demand they're seeing. WCNC Charlotte's Tradisha Woodard breaks down the devastating data.
For some, violence has a tragic ending.
Desperation creates extreme acts.
Data from North Carolina Coalition Against Domestic Violence shows with more than 3 months left in 2023, the number of domestic violence homicides have already exceeded the total from last year.
It does make sense that an unprecedented time like this could also be mirrored by homicide.
As survivors look to rebuild their lives, Charlotte-based Crisis Assistance Ministry says right now there's just not enough resources to meet the growing demand.
The people that we are able, they're coming, we're just not able to get to them all. All of us are having that problem. Everybody in the human services arena is facing a shortage of support.
With many pandemic-era funds coming to an end and an increase in the cost of living, the ministry says many survivors of domestic violence are coming in with a much bigger need.
One of the biggest problems we see overall is wages not keeping up with cost of living. A family might have needed $500 or $600 to stop an eviction. Today it could be $2,000.
They say limited resources, funding, and shelters poses a big challenge for survivors who leave their abusers with nothing but the clothes on their backs.
It's a challenge for thousands of people financially come to our agency every month. But imagine doing that when you're scared to death for your life. And that adds to their trauma.
They say right now they're doing all they can with what they have, all in hopes of helping those who are suffering find healing. Tradisha Woodard, WCNC Charlotte.
Welcome back. The Jimmy and Rosalind Carter Work Project to benefit Habitat for Humanity is returning to Charlotte next month with WCNC Charlotte as a proud partner.
Yeah, volunteers are going to come together to build 39 new homes at an affordable housing development near the airport in West Charlotte. And preparations will culminate with construction the first week of October.
Wake Up Charlotte anchor Sarah French shows us how Habitat for Humanity is seeking solutions to the affordable housing crisis.
This is something that has been envisioned for years.
And this property has special meaning.
The land actually is the former site of the Plato Price School.
Founded in 1915, the school stood as the centerpiece of a once thriving black neighborhood in West Charlotte. The land has sat empty, though, for almost 60 years. Now, some of the school's former students say they are thrilled to see Habitat building homes here.
It makes me feel indescribably happy to know that now that property where I walked, there are new people coming and going to revitalize the area.
We've met with and introduced you to some of the new homeowners.
I feel proud to be able to have a home that to provide shelter for me and for Bailey, and to even leave that legacy to her.
I'm very excited. Like, this is something that's really, really great for my family, like my kids, like just a blessing.
In 1987, Habitat's Carter Work Project came to Charlotte to build 14 affordable homes in the Optimus Park area.
President Carter has worked with Habitat for the past 37 years to draw attention to the needs of affordable housing, both nationally and globally. And so in his honor and legacy, that effort continues.
Many times at the end of the week when the house was finished and we delivered a Bible and keys to their new house, and we haven't all cried. In fact, I think that's the times in my life when I have wept more than any other for excitement and for gratification that I was privileged, along with my wife, to participate in such a great project.
In 2019, the Carters transitioned their ambassadorship to Garth Brooks and Trisha Yearwood.
Hey everybody, Garth Brooks here.
And Trisha Yearwood.
Garth and Trisha will be lending their voices and their muscles for the big build right here in Charlotte come October.
So the building is up to you and us.
For WCNC Charlotte, I'm Sarah French.
Friday might be great for it because I know a lot of them aren't open during the weekdays. A lot of them open up on Thursday, such as the Windy Hill Orchard. Well, the temperature is right around close to home, depending where you're going to go, is expected to be in the mid-70s with a mix of clouds and sunshine. I think you can have more clouds and sunshine on Friday, and then we'll erode this cloud cover steadily heading into the weekend. Because I've got a mess on here. Here's our Doppler radar, our surface fronts. This is what's left over from Ophelia, picking up a bunch of fronts. We got some boundaries. This is a slow mover, so that's going to give a decent soaking up into New England, but it's mainly light to moderate rain. That over multiple days can cause some extensive flooding, but luckily it's going to be out of here in a couple of days. Meanwhile, for us, we're pushing a front further off towards the east. So that means overnight tonight, some cooler air is going to start to build in. And you can see here at a closer look at our futurecast, you're going to see some sunshine and then you see some clouds. You're going to see some sunshine, you're going to see some clouds. I won't repeat myself because that's going to go on for multiple days. But if you're watching from the mountains, it's much cloudier today. I don't think you really see much sunshine at all today. And you're also going to have a range of anywhere from a light drizzle to a moderate rainfall that could be on and off through today and especially tonight. So our afternoon forecast, just cloudy up here. Either side is 70 degrees. Many of you stuck in the upper 60s. Lower 80s, I think clouds are still a little bit thicker here from Morganton to Hickory, down to Maiden to Charlotte. Rocking that 85-degree point. Statesville, close to that I-40 corridor, a little bit cloudier there. And then decent amount of sunshine, especially down to the southeast. That's where you're getting to 87 in Lancaster and Chesterfield. This is the warmest day that we have over the next 7, and it might be over the next 10 days, where we have a big drop once those fronts start to settle in. More cloud cover as well, and then we pretty much gain a degree each day heading into the weekend. So tomorrow's hour-by-hour forecast. Temperatures in the upper 70s, mixed cloud and sunshine. Same thing goes. At times, it'll be completely cloudy. Like yesterday morning and today, we started off cloudy, and then those clouds started to erode, allowing for a little bit more sunshine. And our surface map looks like it's just going to be dancing, kind of wiggling around the Carolinas over the next couple of days. It eventually slides its way down to the south, and then this guy is going to inject a little extra moisture. I think that's going to create a cloudier day on Wednesday, and all of our rain chances are very, very slim, only isolated. And whenever I have isolated on here, I'm taking the number values and putting it into a layman term. So isolated means about 20 to 30% of the area could see rain. And I think most of that might be in the mountains. But let's focus in on the good here. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the days that matter to many of us, looks to be perfectly dry. Where realistically, through Thursday morning, you're looking at only maybe a 0.05 of an inch around Gastonia, but all the rest of us seeing a trace of rain, but it's really up in the mountains that could see up to a 1/4 inch on and off over the next few days. High temperatures rolling forward, heading into the end of the week, we're looking at the lower 70s. But my pick of the week, I'm just going to go out and say it, it's Sunday. I know it's a little bit of a waiting game to get here, but we have the upper 70s, plenty of sunshine, and what do you know? The Panthers are also in town. I think we're going to get that first W. I can't forecast that, but I'm going to be optimistic. We have the upper 70s on Sunday. I'm not calling Friday and Saturday my picks of the week because the cloud cover forecast is still a little suspect. I think Sunday is the best chance to be sunnier. It's just going to be absolutely amazing, feeling great, perfect for any of your favorite fall activities. And by the way, Sunday starts October.
WCNC Charlotte.
Weather is a kind of science that you get to see and experience every day. And I think some people don't even realize how much it affects them. That weather has a huge impact on how it threatens your family, your livelihood, or your home. So I think it really is one of those defining things we do that really affects everybody in our community.
See the difference.
That process of giving you a warning ahead of time and keeping you and your family safe is really important to me because I live here too. It's my family, it's my friends, it's my neighbors.
People living in Mooresville gathering for this year's Fall Fest to remember a fallen K-9 officer killed in the line of duty. Officer Jordan Sheldon died back in 2019 protecting his community. And WCNC Charlotte's Miles Harris showing us how they're now remembering this hero.
A K-9 officer. He was a protector and even a hero. And the people here in Mooresville, they're remembering Officer Shelton through their Fall Fest and doing their part to continue his legacy.
I care about animals. I love dogs. You know, just carries on his legacy.
Brittany Snyder has a passion for dogs, just like Officer Jordan Sheldon. Sheldon, a Mooresville police officer, was killed in 2019 while conducting a traffic stop.
It's just sad. The whole story is sad and just senseless.
Since Officer Sheldon's death, his brother Carson decided to honor Jordan with the Fall Fest, as well as starting a charity organization, Sheldon's K-9. Both geared towards helping K-9s while they serve and after.
We want to take care of those dogs through their entire life of service and then after when they retire. And so that's really the purpose of the event, is to bring the community and the canines together.
Carrying Jordan's legacy for years to come.
There's still a great need in our community, and so we're going to keep growing to continue fulfilling that need and serving the community in a way that was important to Jordan.
In Mooresville, I'm Miles Harris, WCNC Charlotte.
It is time to connect the dots. When we make the news make sense. Stores all across the country have seen a massive rise in shoplifting in the last few years. And now it's starting to get dangerous for some of those employees.
Police are warning retail workers to be cautious as thefts continue to surge. Let's connect the dots. Right now, stores are being forced to try and stop shoplifting. That's why when you go to Walmart or Target, you'll probably notice a lot more merchandise now behind lock and key. All those crimes add up. Last year, Target lost more than $700 million because of shoplifting. And Dick's Sporting Goods blames shoplifting for a 23% drop in second quarter profits. Experts say it's on the rise thanks to popular TikTok videos totaling nearly 9 billion views. And the culprits are turning violent. Most big stores tell their employees not to confront shoplifters because of a safety risk. A lot of those stores now working with law enforcement to track repeat offenders and hoping lawmakers step in and take more action to stop the rapid rise in shoplifting. And that is Connecting the Dots.
As days get a little cooler, more and more people will be enjoying the weather outside, but being outside means having to deal with more bugs. So one viewer emailed us asking if bug zappers can help get rid of mosquitoes. Wake Up Charlotte's Megan Bragg verifies.
Bug zappers, they come in lots of different varieties. The goal, to electrocute bugs. Leslie S. emailed us asking if bug zappers kill mosquitoes. So the question, are bug zappers effective at controlling mosquitoes? Our sources, Sloan Black, owner of Mosquito Joe, Southeast Charlotte, the American Mosquito Control Association, and the University of Delaware. Bug zappers do indeed kill mosquitoes, but it turns out they kill a lot more innocent bystanders. A study by the University of Delaware tracked 6 bug zappers over 10 weeks. Of the more than 13,000 insects killed during that time, only 31 were biting flies, including mosquitoes. That's about 1/5 of 1%. The American Mosquito Control Association noted similar results when they looked at Notre Dame research. Their study found over an entire season, bug zappers killed less than 6.5% of mosquitoes. Black says that's because mosquitoes just aren't attracted to that blue UV light.
If they did effectively kill mosquitoes, you would still just have all these new mosquitoes that are, hatching all the time coming there.
So what are mosquitoes attracted to? Sweat and perfumes for one, and the carbon dioxide that we exhale.
They have really good sense of smell, and so they're attracted to things like the CO2 that we emit when we're breathing.
He says it's way more effective to prevent mosquitoes before they hatch, which is why you should get rid of any standing water in the area. For mosquitoes, that's their breeding grounds.
You also have to address all the eggs that have been laid in water sources.
So we can verify that no, bug zappers are not truly effective at controlling mosquitoes. With your Verify, I'm Megan Bragg.
Millions of Americans are about to start paying back on student loans that were paused for years. It's bringing up the question of what happens if you don't pay the loans back. We're breaking down the answer in 3 parts with the info coming from money.com. So first, there's this on-ramp. It's a 12-month period that's going to run from October 1st to September 30th of next year. Now, during that time, missed payments will have, quote, no negative impact to credit scores. It's not without consequence, though. For those planning on skipping payments, well, your interest is going to keep accruing. Now, this can easily rack up to hundreds, if not thousands of dollars or more over the course of a year. Now, as for what happens when this period is over, well, heavier consequences then weigh in. The missed payments will start hitting your credit score then. And if you don't pay them long enough, these debts will go into collections, which means at best, money will be taken directly from your paycheck to pay that amount back. It's not likely, but it's possible that federal government can even use the loan debt to repossess assets. These are your cars, a house, to get the money as well. Now, another aspect to remember too, there are other repayment forgiveness plans that you may not be able to take as much advantage of if you don't pay now. That's for plans that'll let go of the remaining balance after 10 years of those on-time payments. Guys?
Wake up to the news that matters most with meteorologist and traffic reporter Chris Mulcahy.
And we're all clear. We're keeping you smarter, safer, and on time.
Start your day the Mulcahy way. See the difference. 4:30 to 7 on WCNC Charlotte.
We are hearing more and more about the trend of unretiring when it comes to older Americans being pushed back into the workforce. There are several reasons to go back to work, but for a lot of people, it isn't a choice. And it has WCNC Charlotte's Kia Murray asking, where's the money?
A survey by Paychex shows of retirees considering another job, one of the top concerns is needing money. Other researchers show there's a growing concern for retirement preparedness. Now, that's all while the U.S. Department of Labor says the number of people ages 65 and up that are working or seeking work has actually increased by about 144% in the past 20 years.
It's why we sat down with local experts to give some context to the national numbers. Here's Mark Henry with Alloy Wealth Management.
And I've seen this study so many times, and I think it's just ridiculous having done this for so long now, where it talks about when you retire, you should spend maybe 70 or 75% of what you were making. Well, wait a second. I kind of like my lifestyle right now.
It's why Henry says when saving for retirement, anticipate living on 100% of your current salary. Then cut back if you can later.
Is it more of the everyday purchases like groceries, or is it those bigger ticket items like housing costs, insurance that are essentially pushing people out of retirement and back into the workforce?
I think it's a combination because people are living longer than they expected. So a lot of times we find that they didn't save enough for retirement.
Still, financial difficulty isn't the case for all. Reasons to return to work included just needing something to do and feeling lonely.
Maybe going back to work is actually the right answer. And if it is, then let's put a plan together to do that as well. But it shouldn't be coming from fear.
Kia Murray, WCNC Charlotte.
Well, the new COVID booster is now available in many pharmacies and medical offices. The CDC recommends everyone 6 months and up should go ahead and roll up their sleeves yet again. Now, one study shows getting the shot in the same arm as your previous shot could actually add some immunity. Wake Up Charlotte's Megan Bragg gets the facts in this Verify Fact Check. It's that time of year again, time to get your annual flu vaccine. And this year it's accompanied by the rollout of a new COVID vaccine as well. There's one study that caught our eye. It suggests there may be a heightened effectiveness for patients who take their COVID-19 vaccine in the same arm. So let's get the facts.
Our source is Dr. Charles Brugier, emergency medicine physician with Novant Health, and the study itself published in eBiomedicine. Scientists in Germany looked at health data for 303 people who got the mRNA vaccine, followed by a booster shot. Antibodies were measured 2 weeks after receiving the second shot. According to the study, the percentage of patients with detectable levels of protective killer T cells, which help destroy the COVID virus, was 67% in people who got both shots in the same arm, compared to 43% for people who got them in different arms.
It's thought that perhaps because when you use the same arm and the same kind of vaccine medication drains to the same lymph nodes in that arm, it's going to cause more of an exaggerated response within the lymph nodes.
Dr. Brugier says this effect may help people who have a harder time with immune response if they get the vaccine in the same arm. However, he says the study only looked at 300 people, so its findings can't be generalized to apply to everyone. In the end, he suggests whatever you're comfortable with, you should do.
Most of the antibody response and immunity levels by getting it in the opposite arm were the same. They just noted a difference in two of the many components of the antibody response that seem to be get a better response when the same arm is used.
Brugier tells us he would be curious to see if further studies replicate the same result, but he says it's far more important to just get the vaccine than to debate which arm it should go in. With your Verify Fact Check, I'm Megan Bragg.
When it comes to WCNC's chief meteorologist Brad Panovich, our viewers tell the whole story.
Hey, if you're new to the area, this meteorologist is awesome.
I always stick with Brad Panovich when it comes to severe weather. He's rarely wrong.
You should follow Brad if you don't already. He's usually right on the money with his forecast.
I don't look at anything else besides what Brad says. We are fortunate to have him here.
Brad Panovich. Experience the difference with WCNC Charlotte weather.
Julian, an 0-3 start. Frank Reich has said a few weeks in a row he knows this team is close. Panthers fans kind of get a little shaky when they hear that because of all the times Matt Rule said it. Yeah. What do you make of this team 3 weeks in?
Oh, man. They're a team that I think they're better than what they've shown. And I felt offensively when looking at the first 2 weeks, like, there's no way this team's this bad as far as the passing game goes. And then you got to see it today with Adam Thielen having 11 receptions, going over 140 yards through the air, had a touchdown as well. DJ Chark was involved with his 4 catches, 86 yards and a touchdown. You got to see him stretch the field, something that they hadn't had in the past. So you got to see what your top 2 receivers look like when given opportunities, also when they get open. So it was good to see that. So I do think the passing game, that's what it can be. Hopefully when Bryce Young comes back and he's healthy, that's what it looks like as well. I'm not really surprised that Andy Dalton played better than Bryce did the first 2 weeks, because it is Andy Dalton's, 12th, 13th year in the NFL. Experience matters. Defensively, I think they can be good, but the problem is this team is just not healthy. And they're not going to have J.C. Horn, if they're not going to have Shaq Thompson, who's likely done for the season, if they're not going to have Brady Christensen, if Austin Corbett doesn't come back soon in the interior, they're going to continue to struggle on the O-line, especially with Throckmorton there and a young Chandler Zavala at left guard. I do think it's a better football team that they've shown, but they are deserving of 0-3 right now. When you turn the ball over 3 times week 1, when you struggle through the passing game and through the air on Monday against the Saints, and then today when you can't stop the run, and you don't convert on opportunities like you have after that Deion Jones interception, this is what happens. When you have the penalties, this is what you get. This is an 0-3 football team right now. Bill Parcells always said you are what your record shows you are, and so far they have looked like an 0-3 football team.
All right, quarterbacks are what their numbers say they are generally. Yeah. So how do you think Frank Reich and the organization handles things this week? You know, if Bryce Young is getting in the range of being healthy enough to play against Minnesota, but then you have Andy Dalton, who probably gives you the best chance to win on a single-week basis.
Yeah, Bryce needs to play. Yeah. The Carolina Panthers are in a situation where they're currently staring a top 5 pick in the face. Oh, that's right. They don't have a top 5 pick because they traded up to get Bryce Young. So if you trade up to get Bryce Young, you don't have an opportunity right now to help out your roster by drafting in the first round next year. Bryce Young needs to play. Andy Dalton said it earlier this week that he understands this is Bryce's thing. I'm sure he was happy to play. I thought he played very well considering. And I don't try to ever make too much out of a backup quarterback's performance. We have done that here in Carolina. I remember a time when Kyle Allen and the Panthers had won 4 straight games, even though he turned the ball over 3 times against the Texans, even though Jameis Winston turned over 5 times in that London game. But it was all Kyle Allen. Then what happened? Like, Andy Dalton's here to assist Bryce, and his job when he is called to play is to give him an opportunity to win. And I thought he did that today. So if Bryce Young is healthy next Sunday against Minnesota and beyond, he should be out there. He's their quarterback, and the future for Frank Reich, Scott Fitter, and a lot of people's organization is dependent upon Bryce Young developing into that franchise guy. So he needs to play.
All right, you mentioned at the beginning of this that you think the Panthers are better than this 0-3 start, Bill Parcells quote aside. Yeah. How much of this start is on coaching? How much of the way this looks is on the coaching staff and the people who built the team?
Well, you would think that if you have 13 penalties, that's on coaching, then discipline and the lack thereof on Sunday afternoon, and that's also just grown men having to be better. And they practice with the crowd noise. I don't understand how that can happen. So, of course, a part of it has to be on coaching. The offense looked much better, and I don't think it's just only Andy Dalton and a banged-up and poor Seattle Seahawks secondary. And Seattle was injured, too, today. They have 4 of their starting 5 offensive linemen that were out of the period of time of the game when Damian Lewis went out. So they were able to overcome it. The Carolina Panthers weren't able to overcome it. So I think a lot of it's on the injuries. It's got to be on coaching. It's not just one singular thing, which is why the Carolina Panthers right now are sitting at 0-3.
When did you know what you wanted to be?
Hey, Mom, the weather's on!
WCNC Charlotte's chief meteorologist, Brad Panovich, always knew what he was meant to do.
All right, don't forget your umbrella.
In fact, he joined the American Meteorological Society when he was 13. Now Brad is all grown up. You can see him right here on WCNC Charlotte, making sure you're informed and safe.
Hey, where did all my hair go?
Experience the difference.
Friday might be great for it because I know a lot of them aren't open during the weekdays. A lot of them open up on Thursday, such as the Windy Hill Orchard. Well, the temperature is right around close to home, depending where you're going to go, is expected to be in the mid-70s with a mix of clouds and sunshine. I think you can have more clouds and sunshine on Friday, and then we'll erode this cloud cover steadily heading into the weekend because I've got a mess on here. Here's our Doppler radar, our surface fronts. This is what's left over from Ophelia, picking up a bunch of fronts. We got some boundaries. This is a slow mover, so that's going to give have a decent soaking up into New England, but it's mainly light to moderate rain. That over multiple days can cause some extensive flooding, but luckily it's going to be out of here in a couple of days. Meanwhile, for us, we're pushing a front further off towards the east. So that means overnight tonight, some cooler air is going to start to build in. And you can see here at a closer look at our futurecast, you're going to see some sunshine and then you see some clouds. You're going to see some sunshine, you're going to see some clouds. I won't repeat myself because that's going to go on for multiple days. But if you're watching from the mountains, it's much cloudier today. I don't think you really see much sunshine at all today. And you're also going to have a range of anywhere from a light drizzle to a moderate rainfall that could be on and off through today and especially tonight. So our afternoon forecast, just cloudy up here. Either side is 70 degrees. Many of you stuck in the upper 60s. Lower 80s, I think clouds are still a little bit thicker here from Morganton to Hickory, down to Maiden to Charlotte. Rocking that 85-degree point. Statesville, close to that I-40 corridor, a little bit cloudier there. And then decent amount of sunshine, especially down to the southeast. That's where you're getting to 87 in Lancaster and Chesterfield. This is the warmest day that we have over the next 7, and it might be over the next 10 days, where we have a big drop once those fronts start to settle in. More cloud cover as well, and then we pretty much gain a degree each day heading into the weekend. So tomorrow's hour-by-hour forecast, temperatures in the upper 70s, mixed cloud and sunshine. Same thing goes. At times, it'll be completely cloudy. Like yesterday morning and today, we started off cloudy, and then those clouds started to erode, allowing for a little bit more sunshine. And our surface map looks like it's just going to be dancing, kind of wiggling around the Carolinas over the next couple of days. It eventually slides its way down to the south, and then this guy is going to inject a little extra moisture. I think that's going to create a cloudier day on Wednesday, and all of our rain chances are very, very slim, only isolated. And whenever I have isolated on here, I'm taking the number values and putting it into a layman term. So isolated means about 20 to 30% of the area could see rain. And I think most of that might be in the mountains. But let's focus in on the good here. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the days that matter to many of us, looks to be perfectly dry. Where realistically, through Thursday morning, you're looking at only maybe a 0.05 of an inch around Gastonia, but all the rest of us seeing a trace of rain, but it's really up in the mountains that could see up to a 1/4 inch on and off over the next few days. High temperatures rolling forward, heading into the end of the week, we're looking at the lower 70s. But my pick of the week, I'm just going to go out and say it, it's Sunday. I know it's a little bit of a waiting game to get here, but we have the upper 70s, plenty of sunshine, and what do you know? The Panthers are also in town. I think we're going to get that first W. I can't forecast that, but I'm going to be optimistic. We have the upper 70s on Sunday. I'm not calling Friday and Saturday my picks of the week because the cloud cover forecast is still a little suspect. I think Sunday is the best chance to be sunnier. It's just going to be absolutely amazing, feeling great, perfect for any of your favorite fall activities. And by the way, Sunday starts October.
New this week, a federal appeals court is considering advancing a controversial case out of North Carolina to the U.S. Supreme Court. The decision could have significant implications on whether the states have to cover health care for transgender people with government-sponsored insurance.
WCNC Charlotte's Austin Walker is joining us now to talk about this. Austin, breaking down the movement here from inside the chambers. What are we seeing?
Yeah, so the care in question is gender-affirming, which means hormone therapy or puberty blockers or even sex reassignment surgeries. So all of that being considered for a few things. Now, attorneys for the state of North Carolina say the state-sponsored plan is not required to cover this. Now, the reason is it says being transgender is not an illness. Attorney John Nepper claims only a select number of transgender people suffer from gender dysphoria, and there's been a lot of pushback on this. Now, North Carolina doctor Jennifer Abbott, who specializes in gender-affirming care, says access to this care is critical for transgender persons, and in some cases, it is life-saving.
When they finally are able to access that care, you can immediately see positive changes in the mental health of the young people.
Now, the court case out of North Carolina isn't the only court case that could make its way to the U.S. Supreme Court. West Virginia has its own similar, but the question is if West Virginia Medicaid would cover gender-affirming surgery. Colin, Vanessa.
All right, thanks for that report. Austin, thanks for keeping us up to date as well.
Well, today, leaders in TKK set to ask state leaders if they can shoot and kill upwards of 100 deer at a local golf course. It comes as the number of deer is up more than 20% compared to last year. Some say the deer are causing car accidents in TKK and need to get the population under control. However, many are worried about the sharpshooter plan, saying bullets could hit people. Wake Up Charlotte's Destiny Richards joins us now. In Destiny, some neighbors asking the city to find other ways to help control the population.
Yeah, people living in TKK, whether it's been a few years or a few decades, they are well aware of this growing deer problem, but they are concerned with city leaders' current plan to control it.
I, like many residents of TKK, I am very concerned about our deer, and I'm very concerned about the deer population.
The deer population in TKK seems to be growing by the year. In a meeting Monday night, city council leaders said the population is at 1,028 deer, or 1 deer every 1.3 acres. People showed up to the meeting to express their concerns about the city's current plan to hire off-duty law enforcement as sharpshooters to kill off the deer.
It's a waste of tax dollars. I do not believe in culling, and I'm concerned about the use of guns in our community.
Today, the city of TKK is submitting a request to state wildlife leaders to approve the killing of about 75 to 100 deer either later this year or early next year. Officials say they need to kill about 350 total to get the population under control.
And neighbors at that meeting also suggested more humane methods like sterilization or using PCP. But right now, city leaders say they're still working to get more information about those methods. Live in TKK, Destiny Richards, Wake Up Charlotte.
What truly matters in everything we do is you. That's why in Wake Up Charlotte, we bring you what you need. Keeping you safer and smarter with weather to plan your day. Stories affecting you where you live. Topics that stretch dollars and save the pocketbook. And when roads close and accidents slow you down, we'll get you there on time. See the difference with Wake Up Charlotte. Weekday mornings from 4:30 to 7 on WCNC Charlotte.
We've been following the story of a missing jet for days now. But yesterday, the crash site for that missing jet was found in rural South Carolina. And this is an example of what that jet would have looked like. Now, we first brought you the story yesterday when the jet crash ejecting its pilot, rather. Now officials are finding pieces of it in Williamsburg County. The county is about 2 hours northeast of Joint Base Charleston. Military leaders had actually asked the public to help them find the jet when it went missing over the weekend. Now, the jet, though, was built to avoid being detected. Now that military officials have found the crash site, while residents were asked to avoid the area while a recovery team goes to pick up the debris. Here's one man who lives nearby who might have heard the plane go down. Check this out.
And I heard a plane coming across. Seemed like it was flying relatively low. Then I heard a boom sound. So I just took for example, I said, well, it's probably the sonic boom, well, you know, when they're flying real fast. But it seemed like it was flying very low, lower than normal.
Now, on the pilot, they were able to parachute into a neighborhood safely. They were taken to the hospital, but are in stable condition. Guys?
Students in North Carolina are equipped with multiple ways to share if they or someone else is in danger. They can go to a trusted adult or report a crisis to a school resource officer. But an anonymous reporting tool for students is proving to be just as vital. It's called the Say Something app, and officials say it's already helped them get ahead of potentially dangerous situations. WCNC Charlotte, Shamaria Morrison showing us how the app has helped keep kids safer.
The Say Something app started to be rolled out in many schools in our area last school year, and we know that after the students got training, they're now able to use that app on their cell phones. They can also call a phone number if they need to, and they can also submit a tip online. But we do know it is working.
The Say Something app is part of a violence prevention program from the nonprofit Sandy Hook Promise. It's at the tip of a student's fingers, and submissions are completely anonymous.
We had a report last year from the See Something, Say Something application. It's an anonymous reporting app that students can use within our schools.
At Sun Valley Middle School last school year, a student made a report from one of their classes.
We heard that there was potentially a weapon on a local school campus. We locked the school campus down once again out of just to make sure all the kids were safe, to make sure none of the kids went outside.
Union County Schools started using the app in 2019. Every year since, they've received hundreds of tips. At a state task force meeting for Safer Schools today, it was revealed the app is getting the most tips about a certain topic.
bullying and cyberbullying has been number one. I can't remember a time when it was not number one. And so definitely we need to look at how to address that. And as you can see, suicide and suicide ideation is high on that list as well.
There is a 24/7 team on the other end of the app that assesses a student's tip. A response can range from talking to a student or getting police involved immediately.
We did ultimately recover a weapon out of a book bag. It wasn't the student that was in possession of the weapon wasn't with his book bag at the time, so that, like I said, it all worked out just as the best way that it could.
We know that the Say Something app has already received more than 1,000 tips statewide this school year alone. Shamaria Morrison, WCNC Charlotte.
When I think about the community, I think about the time that I've been here. I've been in this community almost my entire adult life. So you get to know the people. When you know what they care about, then that's what you care about. This community looks at all of us who do weather here at WCNC Charlotte as part of their family. And when you're part of their family, you want to make sure you do it just for them.
Around cash, several businesses in Charlotte now only accept debit or credit. So one viewer wanted to know if federal law requires businesses to take cash. Wake Up Charlotte's Megan Bragg verifies.
You've seen the signs on gas station pumps and even checkout lines, credit or debit only. That prompted Dan S. to write in. He said, I noticed some establishments in Charlotte are card only and refuse to take cash for purchases. I heard a rumor that federal law requires all businesses to take U.S. currency for purchase. Is this true? Let's verify. Our sources, the Federal Reserve and attorney Gary Monty, partner at Monty PLLC.
There's no law at the federal level that says that, hey, you've got to accept cash in addition to credit cards. So there's no law like that.
According to the Federal Reserve, private businesses are free to develop their own policies on whether to accept cash unless there is a state law that states otherwise.
It is legal tender. It's acceptable for payment. But a business can make a decision to not accept cash and accept some other form of payment.
Several states have laws that require businesses to accept cash, but right now, North Carolina is not one of them. However, some in the North Carolina General Assembly are looking to pass a bill that would require businesses to accept cash. That bill passed the House and is now in the Senate. So we can verify that no, there is no federal law that requires all businesses to take U.S. currency for purchases. With your Verified, I'm Megan Bragg.
Well, if you have something you would like verified, just email us at verify@wcnc.com.
The opioid epidemic continues to be a problem here in the Carolinas. Now, Rowan County officials are making access to a life-saving medicine easier. The County Health Department installing a new Narcan vending machine. WCNC Charlotte's Austin Walker is showing us where it is and how it works tonight.
The new Narcan vending machine is up and running at the Rowan County Detention Center, and it's very easy to use. You walk up and just grab a box of Narcan. The ultimate goal is to save a life. Inside the Rowan County Health Department,
a lot of the people that I went to school with aren't here anymore.
You'll find Stephanie Krisenga.
It's enjoyable to see that light go off when you say, I've been there.
In recovery from drug abuse and using her experiences to help others as a senior peer specialist with harm reduction in Rowan County. But in the county, she says drug overdoses are becoming more common.
Come in, you log into your computer, and then you pull up the system to get your referrals, and it's every day.
Deaths by drug overdose climbing. So frequent now, the county ranks second in the most deaths by overdose. A new tool by the health department, partnering with Rowan County Sheriff's Department, is fixed inside the Rowan County Detention Center, looking to make this data trend in the opposite direction.
So anybody who is interested in a kit, they are welcome to come up and grab a kit.
Kaylee Edwards, the substance abuse program manager with Rowan County Health Department, describing the new Narcan vending machine. A plethora of Narcan available for free for those leaving incarceration or those in the community.
When I was using it, wasn't readily available like this. In fact, it hadn't even been put into law that you could just go get it from a pharmacy. So in my day, if you overdosed it, you just die.
For Crescenga, this allows more people to be prepared, those that use drugs and those who might have to intervene, especially as the drug supply continues to get more and more deadly. Fentanyl now being cut into street and party drugs, and the user is unaware.
So I'm trying to use cocaine, and it's like, well, you do know that Narcan was your source of revival. Yeah, I heard, but I wasn't using opiates, but it's in it.
Friday, Crescenga says it's another chance to help someone.
It's amazing how many people have saved lives without using EMS.
Hopeful that with education on Narcan, coupled with access to the resources, more lives are saved. Now, this vending machine is open 24 hours, 7 days a week, and the department also tells us they have ample supply so they can refill as needed. In Rowan County, Austin Walker, WCNC Charlotte.
Hey YouTube, this is Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich here at WCNC Charlotte. We want you to head over to our Weather IQ YouTube page, where we're making you smarter and safer. We have a passion for weather science, and we want you to understand what's happening when the weather changes, because in the end, that's what keeps you safe. It's not about being scared, it's about being informed. Browse our collection of fun and informative clips and look for new segments every week. We're here to raise your weather IQ. Experience the difference on WCNC Charlotte.
Friday might be great for it because I know a lot of them aren't open during the weekdays. A lot of them open up on Thursday, such as the Windy Hill Orchard. Well, the temperature is right around close to home, depending where you're going to go, is expected to be in the mid-70s with a mix of clouds and sunshine. I think you can have more clouds and sunshine on Friday, and then we'll erode this cloud cover steadily heading into the weekend because I've got a mess on here. Here's our Doppler radar, our surface fronts. This is what's left over from Ophelia, picking up a bunch of fronts. We got some boundaries. This is a slow mover, so that's going to give a decent soaking up into New England, but it's mainly light to moderate rain. That over multiple days can cause some extensive flooding, but luckily it's going to be out of here in a couple of days. Meanwhile, for us, we're pushing a front further off towards the east. So that means overnight tonight, some cooler air is going to start to build in. And you can see here at a closer look at our futurecast, you're going to see some sunshine and then you see some clouds. You're going to see some sunshine, you're going to see some clouds. I won't repeat myself because that's going to go on for multiple days. But if you're watching from the mountains, it's much cloudier today. I don't think you really see much sunshine at all today. And you're also going to have a range of anywhere from a light drizzle to a moderate rainfall that could be on and off through today and especially tonight. So our afternoon forecast, just cloudy up here. Either side is 70 degrees. Many of you stuck in the upper 60s. Lower 80s, I think clouds are still a little bit thicker here from Morganton to Hickory, down to Maiden to Charlotte. Rocking that 85-degree point. Statesville, close to that I-40 corridor, a little bit cloudier there. And then decent amount of sunshine, especially down to the southeast. That's where you're getting to 87 in Lancaster and Chesterfield. This is the warmest day that we have over the next 7, and it might be over the next 10 days, where we have a big drop once those fronts start to settle in. More cloud cover as well, and then we pretty much gain a degree each day heading into the weekend. So tomorrow's hour-by-hour forecast, temperatures in the upper 70s, mixed cloud and sunshine. Same thing goes. At times, it'll be completely cloudy. Like yesterday morning and today, we started off cloudy, and then those clouds started to erode, allowing for a little bit more sunshine. And our surface map looks like it's just going to be dancing, kind of wiggling around the Carolinas over the next couple of days. It eventually slides its way down to the south, and then this guy is going to inject a little extra moisture. I think that's going to create a cloudier day on Wednesday, and all of our rain chances are very, very slim, only isolated. And whenever I have isolated on here, I'm taking the number values and putting it into a layman term. So isolated means about 20 to 30% of the area could see rain. And I think most of that might be in the mountains. But let's focus in on the good here. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the days that matter to many of us, looks to be perfectly dry. Where realistically, through Thursday morning, you're looking at only maybe a 0.05 of an inch around Gastonia, but all the rest of us seeing a trace of rain, but it's really up in the mountains that could see up to a 1/4 inch on and off over the next few days. High temperatures rolling forward, heading into the end of the week, we're looking at the lower 70s. But my pick of the week, I'm just going to go out and say it, it's Sunday. I know it's a little bit of a waiting game to get here, but we have the upper 70s, plenty of sunshine, and what do you know? The Panthers are also in town. I think we're going to get that first W. I can't forecast that, but I'm going to be optimistic. We have the upper 70s on Sunday. I'm not calling Friday and Saturday my picks of the week because the cloud cover forecast is still a little suspect. I think Sunday is the best chance to be sunnier. It's just going to be absolutely amazing, feeling great, perfect for any of your favorite fall activities. And by the way, Sunday starts October.
But right now, a new study by J.D. Power shows travel satisfaction at Charlotte-Douglas International Airport has improved slightly this year. Its score up 4 points from 768 to 772. That score classifying the airport as average when it comes to customer satisfaction. WCNC Charlotte's Austin Walker breaks down the survey, showing us what these numbers mean.
It's a game of numbers inside the Charlotte-Douglas International Airport. And if you could rank it on a scale of 1 to 10, it's across the board.
I'd say 8, 9.
Is a 5. Travelers saying it's not perfect just yet.
The 10's happening.
But there's optimism, saying it's already gotten better, and nationally it shows. One new survey by J.D. Power rolled out to rank airports on customer satisfaction. 3 categories considered by the study: improvements and upgrades, food, beverage, and retail, and how smooth baggage claim is.
Sometimes it sucks, sometimes it's all right. Every time I come here, it just seems like everything seems to flow.
The data shows Charlotte-Douglas now sits at the average score for mega airports, which sees 33 million passengers or more a year. The airport getting 772 points out of the possible 1,000. That's up 4 points from last year. The airport has undergone quite a bit of improvements, something factored into the score, creating a 5-star review for some. Improvements are still certainly underway at Charlotte-Douglas. You can see right behind me the construction of the brand new canopy. Travelers telling us that when this is completed, the airport will just look amazing, hoping those points on overall satisfaction continue to rise.
I know what they're doing. They're going to prove it. It's going to be amazing.
Hiring is a priority, with consistent job fairs like one happening Saturday.
We want to bring jobs to our community that has a 365, 24/7 environment.
Working on mitigating the overcrowding some experience. Coming in at 7th in the world for air traffic, there's bound to be some kinks.
I've waited a half hour to get up here sometimes.
But in the study, it still beats out 8 other airports in the category. There's no doubt traveling through Charlotte-Douglas is getting better.
I would say a 9.
But perfection could be around the terminal.
In a year, it's going to be a 10.
Austin Walker, WCNC Charlotte.
Some positive trends tonight from Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools. The district says it's starting to see the number of students absent from schools decrease. It says there was a spike in absentee students during the pandemic. But WCNC Charlotte's Shamari Morrison shares what's changed and how the district says it's going to enforce its attendance policy.
When it comes to making sure students are doing well on schoolwork and tests, there's a baseline requirement for schools. They need to make sure students are not absent.
Attendance is really big here with us, and so students are loving to come to school each day. If they're in the seats, we're going to get them what they need.
At Blythe Elementary School, attendance is a part of the school's long-term plans to both maintain and improve students' achievement scores. It's also a CMS district-wide effort. CMS Superintendent Crystal Hill has been clear the district will enforce its attendance policy. And that means when a student has 10 unexcused absences, parents could face criminal prosecution and a complaint could be filed with the juvenile court system.
You know, student attendance is critical.
Student absenteeism climbed to its worst numbers during the pandemic, not only at CMS, but nationally. So much so, the Biden administration is finding ways to help keep students in school with new grant money.
We have our full service community school grant, which went from $75 million to $150 million in 2 years. We doubled it.
State data shows last school year, North Carolina's chronic absenteeism rate was 31%. That's double what it was in 2018. This means thousands of North Carolina students miss 10% of more of school days.
Full service community schools have additional dollars to have family school liaisons, to engage parents more meaningfully, to make sure that some of those chronic absenteeism strategies are working.
Why students are not coming to school can range.
It could be hunger. It could be that they need a dentist and they're having tooth pain, or they're the translators for their families.
CMS has tiered interventionist programs to first find out why students are missing school, how the district can help, and official communication going to parents. There's even a partnership to incentivize students to come to school with groups like the nonprofit Community in Schools, Charlotte-Mecklenburg, Bank of America, and the Charlotte Hornets. Shamari Morrison, WCNC Charlotte.
At WCNC Charlotte, we believe it is crucial to make a difference in our communities.
That's why we go beyond just reporting the news. We ask, where's the money to hold the powerful accountable and get money back into your pockets?
Our Verify team takes claims, finds sources, and gets you answers.
And we're keeping you weather aware, making you safer and smarter.
I'm Vanessa Rufus.
And I'm Colin Mayfield. Join us weeknights at 5, 6, and 11 and see the difference for yourself.
Only on WCNC Charlotte.
In Huntersville, there's a place that'll bring out the kid in everyone. And if your children are in preschool or elementary school even, they'll find plenty to do also.
So we sent our resident child at heart, Larry Sprinkle, to check it out.
There's Discovery Place and there's Discovery Place Kids right in the middle of Huntersville, North Carolina.
Discovery Place Kids is an institution of playful learning, so we inspire playful learning through agency, so the things that they see their parents doing, they can do here.
Discovery Place Huntersville combines education and fun for kids of all ages. Lindsay Gordon is the museum director.
So we have the I Can Work area that has our fire truck with all our community helpers. We have I Can Be Healthy with a cafe and Publix and all of that groceries, and so they can do groceries together. We have the I Can Build area where there can be little engineers. We have I Can Move where they can talk about transportation, and then we have I Can Create where they can use their art skills to make whatever they would like.
It's the perfect chance for everyone to get out of the house and have a very enjoyable experience.
I think just all the sensory stuff for them, they get to use their imaginations. It's really fun to watch them, you know, learn to cook and be in a restaurant and learn to also like social aspect of how to share and play with others, and just really the imagination is just wonderful for them.
How about some grocery shopping with a shopping cart made for a kid? It's a real fire truck. You can be a firefighter for a day or maybe longer. Right in the middle of the Discovery Place Kids, you can actually pilot a speedboat. Be a NASCAR driver if I could just get this helmet on. It's all hands-on here at Discovery Place Kids. Join the fun, join the education, and enjoy the show here at Discovery Place Kids in downtown Huntersville. Larry Sprinkle, back to you.
Time now to connect the dots. When we make the news make sense, cereal was once the most popular breakfast food in the country, and now it's been declining in popularity for some time. And now some of the companies behind your favorite brands are having to change course.
Cereal companies are now marketing to meet the tastes of consumers, just to stay afloat. Let's connect the dots. In the 1980s and 90s, cereal ruled the breakfast table. But most cereals are pretty much two things: carbs and sugar. So, as consumer tastes began to change, folks began leaning more towards high-protein foods like eggs to start their day. So now cereal companies are trying to get creative as they look to get back in pantries across the country. Kellogg, one of the most iconic breakfast brands out there, is changing course. It plans to spin off its cereal division into an entirely new company called WK Kellogg. They say this will allow the company to focus on more profitable brands like Pringles and Cheez-Its, while keeping people's favorite cereal brands alive. And that is Connecting the Dots.
WCNC Charlotte. Weather is a kind of science that you get to see and experience every day. And I think some people don't even realize how much it affects them. That weather has a huge impact on how it threatens your family, your livelihood, or your home. So I think it really is one of those defining things we do that really affects everybody in our community. See the difference. That process of giving you a warning ahead of time and keeping you and your family safe is really important to me because I live here too. It's my family, it's my friends, it's my neighbors.
Start the news now at 6. A new chapter in an ongoing WCNC Charlotte investigation. That's how we start. Thanks for joining us at 6 now. I'm Colin Mayfield.
And I'm Vanessa Rufus. Students with disabilities are among the most vulnerable children in our schools. Yet our team found that per capita, North Carolina suspends and expels these students more than every other state in the country.
And data actually shows most of those kids are black, which means they miss out on more classroom learning than their peers. As part of our suspended series, Nate Morabito continues seeking solutions.
Since our reporting began, we've heard from dozens of parents representing kids in more than 30 districts across North Carolina. You're about to meet one of those parents. She tells us discriminatory discipline is standing in the way of her child's progress.
Sydney Goes to School, a guide to a proactive school day with autism spectrum disorder.
Charlene Smith felt so confident about her 12-year-old's future.
Sydney was born at 27 weeks.
She wrote a book about her elementary school past.
For the last 10 years, I've been successfully navigating the public school system.
Then Sydney, diagnosed with autism and ADHD, entered 6th grade.
Now we have to write a new children's book that says Sydney Goes to Homeschool.
Records show during last school year, she faced more than 10 days of out-of-school suspension. A required review concluded Sydney's disability caused her aggressive behavior. The school district, with support from Sydney's doctor, eventually sent her home for the rest of the year. She's remained homebound ever since.
She's getting 1 hour a day.
Provided hardly any daily instruction.
I feel like an idiot now that I wrote this.
It's especially painful considering her mother is a first-generation high school graduate, former middle school teacher, and current college instructor.
It crushes me for me to know that I can't guarantee an education for my own child.
Sydney's experience is representative of a larger problem. Kids with disabilities who look like her.
It's devastating, it's traumatizing, it's embarrassing.
Are disproportionately disciplined.
Something needs to change.
Data show other school districts are much worse. In fact, more than 24 in North Carolina are on a state warning list for significant disproportionality.
For us, it's not about being on a list. It really is about doing what's right for kids.
Districts like Rowan Salisbury and Charlotte-Mecklenburg.
I think CMS is starting to lean into the work of fixing some of those issues.
Both of which report enhanced training and more focused efforts to be fair and consistent.
We are working with educators, making sure that they have the knowledge, skills, and abilities.
The National Education Association has also made this a priority, noting years of systemic racism and unconscious bias.
We're learning how to create the kind of environment that is safe and inclusive and welcoming. And then if something happens, how best to address that.
I'm literally every single solitary day in a fight for her life.
Charlene Smith knows her daughter's life depends on her school district better addressing her needs now, before one of her outbursts leads to something irreversible.
When she does this, even at 15, and she acts out at Carowinds, you're going to lock her up. That's what happens to our kids.
She recently filed a complaint with the State Department of Public Instruction, accusing Gaston County schools of failing to provide Sydney with a free, appropriate public education, discriminatory discipline, and violating her disability rights.
She wants to do good.
In response, the district told us, we take Ms. Smith's concerns seriously, and we have worked with her and continue to do so because we also want what is best for her daughter. Citing student privacy, a spokesperson would not go into detail about Sydney's case, but said the district agrees. Students are better served at school. However, Gaston County Schools noted there are situations when alternate settings like homebound education may be necessary, but only under the direction of a doctor or medical professional, or when it is determined that the student is a harm to himself or herself and or to others.
I have no idea how this is going to go. I have no clue.
As Smith and the district negotiate a solution for Sydney,
Sydney's room checklist.
Her next chapter remains unclear. Part of a story.
Mommy sings the wake-up song.
That is being rewritten every day. Gaston County Schools is not on the state's significant disproportionality list. A spokesperson says district representatives have communicated and met with Smith on numerous occasions to discuss her concerns and address how the district can provide support for her daughter. Nate Morabito, WCNC Charlotte.
In-depth story there, Nate, and our team continue to highlight folks seeking solutions to the complex systematic issues, that impact you and your family.
Yeah, solutions journalism is a way to focus on the problems, put a local face to that story, and then also present the positive steps to make our community a better place. So we do want to ask you at home, whose voice or voices have we missed? If you have a story in mind, you can always email us at newstips@wcnc.com.
And the new budget draft includes millions of dollars impacting North Carolina schools. The budget includes teachers' pay raises, a private school voucher expansion, and a new grant to increase the teacher pipeline. WCNC Charlotte's Shamaria Morrison breaks down what you need to know.
The most immediate takeaway from this proposed budget is those teacher pay raises. Once the budget is passed, those will be retroactive for current teachers. The state budget shows an average 7% increase in teacher pay. That's about an extra $2,000 for beginning teachers, raising first-year teachers' pay from $37,000 to $39,000. Jennifer De La Hara, a CMS school board member, says it's welcome, but not enough.
I really think it needs to be more. North Carolina is ranked 46th in the nation in educator pay. And in order for us to be able to attract and retain teachers, one of the things that we can do is value their service to our community and ultimately our workforce as an economic development concern.
The increase gets lower for veteran teachers. Those raises can be as low as 2%.
And many of our teachers come in, they work 3 to 5 years, and then they're leaving us. So I would like to see a greater emphasis placed on the value of veteran teachers.
The final state budget also does not bring back master's pay. This was a way for teachers who earn a master's degree to get more money.
But it's almost become seen as not being valuable in our education system. I obviously think that it is.
The budget is also expanding opportunity scholarships. About $500 million over the next decade is budgeted for it.
So many parents are stuck in school systems in certain places where they don't have the economic ability to be able to pick a school and that best serves the needs of their children.
The program gives vouchers to families to help pay for private school tuition for their children. Previously serving mostly low-income families and some middle-income families, the expansion would make families of all incomes eligible for the voucher. Also in the budget, the General Assembly stripped the State Board of Education from its power to fund charter schools, and this comes just months after it took away the ability of the State Board of Education to review charter school applications. Shamaria Morrison, WCNC Charlotte.
Well, you can read the full budget text right now inside the WCNC mobile app. It's a free download in the App Store and Google Play.
Connect the dots and let us clear up the confusion. We're here to make sure the news makes sense. And with Connect the Dots, you'll understand how the headlines impact your family. See the difference on WCNC Charlotte.
Right now at 6, the Fed's pushing for police to pump the brakes on car chases. And thanks for joining us tonight for the news at 6. I'm Jane Monreal. These new federal recommendations urging law enforcement to limit unnecessary pursuits, especially when motorcycles are involved. This comes just 2 weeks after a mother and son died during a police chase. The victims, Cynthia Nicole Lale and her 12-year-old son, Michael. Authorities say a Hickory police officer crashed into their minivan while chasing a motorcycle. They're among more than 4,000 innocent bystanders killed during police pursuits over the last 40 years. It's a problem Nate Morabito began investigating last year, and in his latest In Pursuit report, discovered the federal government now wants departments to take action. Tonight, he continues seeking solutions.
This Department of Justice report offers clear guidance to police, sheriffs, and highway patrols. They shouldn't chase unless a person commits a violent crime and poses an imminent threat to commit another violent crime, meaning not just when someone runs from a traffic stop. Split-second police decisions have left thousands of families grieving.
This has devastated our family.
The latest preventable deaths in Hickory earlier this month after an officer reportedly tried to stop a motorcycle for careless and reckless driving and failing to display a license plate.
I'm angry. I am on a mission, and I am going to make sure that North Carolina has a no chase policy. That is going to be my beautiful daughter and my beautiful grandson's legacy.
While state lawmakers have long empowered individual departments to come up with their own pursuit policies, this newly released federal report urges police to better protect the public. It stops short of suggesting an outright ban of police chases, understanding they're sometimes necessary, but makes 65 recommendations that would help reduce departments' reliance on them and limit the overall risk.
The person fleeing is at fault.
But police are trained and are there to deal with people who aren't making good decisions, can't make good decisions. And there's got to be an adult in the room, and it's not the person fleeing. It's got to be the police officer.
Pursuit expert Jeff Alpert chaired the Pursuit's working group that was intimately involved in developing the new guidance, a group that included police officers.
You've got to draw the line somewhere.
When we interviewed the University of South Carolina criminology and criminal justice professor in 2022, he leaned on his research to dispel the many myths about police chases.
Good police work will find someone who flees from you.
This report builds on that work, but as WCNC Charlotte's investigation found, even more restrictive policies can only do so much.
We're all human beings. It would be unrealistic to think that in these high-stress situations that the right decision is always made.
The public expects you all to make the right decision every time.
They do. They do. This is a difficult job.
Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department officers decided to pursue a driver for a traffic offense in early 2022, only for him to try to get away and crash into a car carrying Aaron Norwood and his best friend Brittany Webb.
It's important for people to know what happened to her. She was taken from us.
Brittany, a mother of two, died. Aaron, a new father, barely survived.
The disregard for people's lives is sad.
The department suspended the two officers involved without pay for at least 3 weeks, while CMPD's policy prohibits officers from chasing someone for a traffic violation. Hickory's policy gives officers more discretion.
Half of my heart left me.
There, a police chase cut 2 more lives short, a mother and son.
I'm a little numb, and it hurts that I'm a little numb because it's confusing.
The report notes you can get a suspect another day, but you can't get a life back. Nate Morabito, WCNC Charlotte.
And Nate and our team work hard to highlight the actions being taken to solve ongoing problems like this one. That being said, a lot of these issues get brought to our attention because of you, the viewer. So we want to put the call out there. If there's a systemic issue you're dealing with, we want to know about it. Share your knowledge and story tips with us by sending an email to newstips@wcnc.com.
WCNC Charlotte. This is Flashpoint, where power and politics collide and the tough questions get asked and answered.
Thanks for joining us here on Flashpoint. I'm Ben Thompson. We are just days away from a looming government shutdown, and 2 local congressmen are forcing the stalemate. Union County Congressman Dan Bishop and York County Congressman Ralph Norman. On Thursday, I spoke with Norman about why he believes shutting down the government may be the only path forward. And then a bit later, the Charlotte City Councilwoman who just won her primary despite opposition from the mayor and members of her own party. But first, that possible shutdown. Joining us now, South Carolina Congressman Ralph Norman, who represents areas including Rock Hill, Fort Mill, and Lancaster. Congressman, thanks for coming on. We appreciate it.
Well, my honor to be with you.
You have found yourself at the heart of this debate across the country this past week. And you said this week that you think a shutdown is going to happen. Do you still feel that way?
You know, a lot of things have changed. We met late last night. The good news is we brought all factions together. We should have done it earlier. You know, as you know, my whole thought process is we've got a spending problem. That's the cancer in this country. And if we don't get a handle on it now, when are we going to do it? The fact that we're debating a budget or debating a top line number for a budget that ends September 30th, which is a date that didn't just appear out of nowhere. We've known the date was going to be the date we had to have everything ready, and the preparations didn't get ready. So what we did last night was, one, we're working through the weekend. There was agreement to get the approach bills through, which has top level spending, so we know what we're going to spend, and we put a number to that. So the other thing that's changed is there's a strong border security bill in this to force Joe Biden to put a stop to the insanity. And he's getting pressure from members of his own party. And we've got a commission now that's set up. So I don't mind funding the government 30 more days. And had we not gotten these agreements, I was willing to go into shutdown. You had 11 members from New York who had a real problem because of the border. They just had to have that border crisis front and center stage, and I think they were right. So bottom line, I think that we will go into a 30-day spending, 30-day open the process for getting everything done. The PROPS bills will be out hopefully in a matter of 10 days. So the bottom line, from 100% down now, the odds of having a shutdown will probably be in the 50-60% range. So that's kind of where we stand.
So this would extend things for another 30 days. Is that what I'm understanding?
Correct. From October 1 through end of October.
I think people at home are watching this, people, you know, in your district and people all across the Carolinas watch this. And I don't know that you'll disagree with this, but it's a more nuanced take. And it says government spending is way out of whack. We got to do something about it. But the brinkmanship, the possible shutdown, isn't the way a serious country, a functional country, should govern. Do you disagree or agree?
Oh, no, it's third world countries govern better than we govern. I mean, to run this out and not having top line numbers is insanity. And again, we've got a spending problem in this country. That's why I, along with members of the Freedom Caucus, did what we did in January to hold up the speaker's vote. That's why we have taken a hard line on this. And I guess we were faced in this particular situation where had we not done anything to get a package over to the Senate, they were going to pass Pelosi's spending bill, Pelosi and Chuck Schumer's spending bill, for probably the end of the year, which was far more than we're agreeing to the number that we're agreeing to finally end up with for 30 days. So we'll see. It's not something I like, and people are tired of government. They want government to get out of their lives, and it's been weaponized, and this administration is guilty of that. And the border is something that's taking everybody by surprise, and they're going to be asking for money, New York particularly, money to house these illegals when they're the ones that declared New York a sanctuary state. So
I think a lot of people would argue that there's been prior administrations who have politicized these issues as well. But listen, you're not just debating Republicans here. At some point, you're going to have to work with Democrats as well. Right now, it's Republicans you're working with. Once it gets to the Senate, things will change. The voters of this country, your voters, they elected a divided government. I mean, that's what they elected. Shouldn't the fine folks of York County expect you to work with others to find compromise? Isn't that what they elected you to do?
Well, compromise depends on how you define compromise. We're on two different universes with the Democrats now. The reason they got thrown out of power, and I granted it was a small margin, but they're just spendthrifts. I haven't heard one Democrat come up with a saving plan or an offset plan to pay the $32 trillion in debt. So am I going to compromise on that and let the country go bankrupt? No. Now you can debate other issues and see where they are, but I'll be honest with you, it's real difficult now. And to surrender this country, particularly the fact that economic security is national security, and they just don't believe that. I mean, look at what this administration is doing.
Let me ask you this, though, because I feel like this is at the heart of what we're talking that goes beyond the financial issues and stuff. Like, do you respect the Democrats?
I don't respect their opinions. I like them personally, but no, I don't. They're tearing this country apart.
Because I feel like if you feel that way and they feel the same way about you, then, I mean, we're in a tough situation to get anything done. Let me remind folks that during a federal shutdown, the government workers aren't paid. They will get back pay once things are resolved. During the 2013 shutdown, about 850,000 were furloughed. You've worked hard. You've done really well in your life. But a lot of these government workers can't afford to go without a paycheck. Why is a shutdown, if that happens, why is that fair to them?
Well, because here's the choice we were faced with. Either have a reasonable number, a spending number, that we can get 218 votes on, that starts us on the path of financial sanity. We just haven't had that. And we will, had we not done this and had we not held things up and held open the possibility of a shutdown, then just continue borrowing money. And for your viewers, put this in perspective. The debt that we have now is $20,000 per second. That's the interest on the debt, $20,000 per second. And I'm just not willing to do that. At some point, we've got to pay the debt back. And Democrats, they say they do, but then they don't. And you have a lot of Republicans too that make the claim during election time, I'm a conservative. Well, show me. And so that's what we're up against. Now, had we not come up with a number, no, I would shut it down because that was our only option. And you're right, people didn't get paid. But name me one American in this country that's not suffering from high gas prices, suffering from at the grocery store, paying more for every eggs, milk, supply chain shortages. This administration has shipwrecked this economy. And I'm just not going to sit back and say, oh, well, it's business as usual. We'll just continue to spend. And if you could see the things they're spending money on, $410 million to build a wall in Lebanon and Jordan and other countries, $450 billion to build a new FBI building when you have vacant buildings all over Washington, D.C. No, the Green New Deal, I mean, you wouldn't buy a toaster if you saw the language in a contract or in some of these bills that just give bureaucrats the carte blanche freedom to spend it where they want and when they want it. I'm just not doing that.
Final question real quick. Given everything you've just said and how passionately you feel about some of these issues, are you planning to run against South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham when he's up for re-election?
I'm going to consider that. I mean, it's a 2026 race. I like Lindsey. I've supported him in the last election, but you get two Lindseys. For the first 4 years, he votes like Mitt Romney. He's the one that put us in a box on voting for to extend the budget when we knew we were going to take control, the Republicans, in January of last year. And he just locked us into the Pelosi spending spree until September 30th of this year. We would have had control in January. And I like him. He's done a good job on judges, but as he should. But he just voted liberal. And for the last 2 years, he gets conservative, but I'm tired of it. So I'll consider it. I will tell you this, a day in politics is a lifetime. Yeah. But, I'm going to consider the run.
All right. South Carolina Congressman Ralph Norman finding himself at the center of this firestorm over the last week. Congressman, thanks so much. We appreciate you taking time.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Take care. More Flashpoint after this.
Friday might be great for it because I know a lot of them aren't open during the weekdays. A lot of them open up on Thursday, such as the Windy Hill Orchard. Well, the temperature is right around close to home, depending where you're going to go, is expected to be in the mid-70s with a mix of clouds and sunshine. I think you can have more clouds and sunshine on Friday, and then we'll erode this cloud cover steadily heading into the weekend. Because I've got a mess on here. Here's our Doppler radar, our surface fronts. This is what's left over from Ophelia, picking up a bunch of fronts. We got some boundaries. This is a slow mover, so that's going to give a decent soaking up into New England, but it's mainly light to moderate rain. That over multiple days can cause some extensive flooding, but luckily it's going to be out of here in a couple of days. Meanwhile, for us, we're pushing a front further off towards the east. So that means overnight tonight, some cooler air is going to start to build in. And you can see here at a closer look at our futurecast, you're going to see some sunshine and then you see some clouds. You're going to see some sunshine, you're going to see some clouds. I won't repeat myself because that's going to go on for multiple days. But if you're watching from the mountains, it's much cloudier today. I don't think you really see much sunshine at all today. And you're also going to have a range of anywhere from a light drizzle to a moderate rainfall that could be on and off through today and especially tonight. So our afternoon forecast, just cloudy up here. Either side is 70 degrees. Many of you stuck in the upper 60s. Lower 80s, I think clouds are still a little bit thicker here from Morganton to Hickory, down to Maiden to Charlotte. Rocking that 85-degree point. Statesville, close to that I-40 corridor, a little bit cloudier there. And then decent amount of sunshine, especially down to the southeast. That's where you're getting to 87 in Lancaster and Chesterfield. This is the warmest day that we have over the next 7, and it might be over the next 10 days, where we have a big drop once those fronts start to settle in. More cloud cover as well, and then we pretty much gain a degree each day heading into the weekend. So tomorrow's hour-by-hour forecast, temperatures in the upper 70s, mixed cloud and sunshine. Same thing goes. At times, it'll be completely cloudy. Like yesterday morning and today, we started off cloudy, and then those clouds started to erode, allowing for a little bit more sunshine. And our surface map looks like it's just going to be dancing, kind of wiggling around the Carolinas over the next couple of days. It eventually slides its way down to the south, and then this guy is going to inject a little extra moisture. I think that's going to create a cloudier day on Wednesday, and all of our rain chances are very, very slim, only isolated. And whenever I have isolated on here, I'm taking the number values and putting it into a layman term. So isolated means about 20 to 30% of the area could see rain. And I think most of that might be in the mountains. But let's focus in on the good here. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the days that matter to many of us, looks to be perfectly dry. Where realistically, through Thursday morning, you're looking at only maybe a 0.05 of an inch around Gastonia, but all the rest of us seeing a trace of rain, but it's really up in the mountains that could see up to a 1/4 inch on and off over the next few days. High temperatures rolling forward, heading into the end of the week, we're looking at the lower 70s. But my pick of the week, I'm just going to go out and say it, it's Sunday. I know it's a little bit of a waiting game to get here, but we have the upper 70s, plenty of sunshine, and what do you know? The Panthers are also in town. I think we're going to get that first W. I can't forecast that, but I'm going to be optimistic. We have the upper 70s on Sunday. I'm not calling Friday and Saturday my picks of the week because the cloud cover forecast is still a little suspect. I think Sunday is the best chance to be sunnier. It's just going to be absolutely amazing, feeling great, perfect for any of your favorite fall activities. And by the way, Sunday starts October.
No child left behind. That is the mantra of a Charlotte nonprofit seeking solutions for homeless students. Champion House of Care has launched a new after-school program in Sugar Creek to help children who are struggling in class.
Yeah, WCNC Charlotte's Julia Kaufman got a first-hand look at the program and the families that it's helping.
And it is one of Andy's favorite.
Jeanette Kennard helps students facing homelessness excel in education.
So most of the kids during the summer, we found out the 5th graders were on 1st grade level.
Her nonprofit, Champion House of Care, now hosts an after-school program in Sugar Creek for homeless and impoverished children to do their homework and improve their reading and math skills.
Umbrella. U is for umbrella.
They're not doing it well in school because when they get home, they don't have the materials to do their homework with.
Last school year, there were nearly 23,000 homeless students registered in North Carolina public schools. 18% lived in hotels.
It's pretty hard. It literally is. I juggle a lot.
We spoke with Lorraine off camera. She and her 4 children live in a Sugar Creek motel.
Me going out there looking for a job, or I got them two with me because since they're not in school, I said that is the hardest part.
3 of Lorraine's children are enrolled in the program, helping her juggle a little bit less for a few hours each day.
The after school program is a big help because she will help them learn more.
Kennard says the program offers more than just a chance to learn.
They know they get to come be a child. They get to get out the hotel room. Even if after their homework, they get to come outside and play for a little while.
Students also get a fresh meal, so their focus is on school instead of survival.
They could be the next president, the next doctor, whatever, but we got to give them that fighting chance.
The Champion Village program needs more tutors. We have details on how you can help on WCNC.com. Julia Kaufman, WCNC Charlotte.
And here at WCNC Charlotte, we want to highlight folks finding solutions to local problems. You can share your stories with us by sending in a tip to newstips@WCNC.com.
All new tonight at 11. York County leaders approving deals that will bring 2 huge businesses and put more than $1 billion into the county. One is Silfab Solar, a solar panel manufacturer moving into a Fort Mill facility. The other is a massive data center near Lake Wiley. WCNC Charlotte's Julia Kaufman looks at the economic impact, and here's what community members are saying tonight.
The tax deals combined will bring hundreds of jobs and invest more than $1 billion into York County. But one of the deals is getting pushback for what else it might bring.
Manufacturing with HAPs needs to be further away from children.
HAPs, or hazardous air pollutants, is one concern some Fort Mill residents are sharing over a future solar panel plant. York County Council approved giving Silfab Solar a tax break Monday so it can move into this facility. But neighbors were hoping to first see DHEC's report on its impact on water and air quality.
Hopefully DHEC will address any air quality issues. DHEC will address any water issues. But don't expect this board to hold up a fee in lieu based off what DHEC is yet to determine.
Silfab promises to create 800 jobs and invest $150 million into the county.
Unless we have major tax reform in South Carolina,
quality industry is needed in our area for investment and for jobs.
Some residents support both SilFab and the other approved tax deal, which is with QTS. It plans to build a data center on hundreds of acres of rural land off Hands Mill Highway.
This is a huge win for York County. I believe it's the largest scale investment that we've had.
The data center, formerly known as Project Cobra, will only create a handful of jobs, but it expects to invest more than $1 billion into York County.
QTS is excited to come to York County, and we're looking forward to getting started.
Council members say SilFab Solar still needs permits from DHEC before it can begin operations. In York County, Julia Kaufman, WCNC Charlotte.
Right now, though, people are weighing in on the preservation of a Dilworth building that's over 100 years old. And that building is noted as the neighborhood's oldest surviving retail brick property. A rezoning proposal to relocate the building is facing opposition. And the big problem here, it comes down to parking. Yeah, that pesky parking, right? WCNC Charlotte's Jesse Pierre is live in Dilworth. Now with more, Jesse, we know how critical parking is there and in Uptown as well.
It's very critical in this area. Now, this is the building we are talking about, the Leaper Wyatt building. It used to be a grocery store and was built back in 1903. Now, there have been several efforts to save this historic building from being demolished, and now a restaurant group wants to move it just a few blocks away from here to help protect it.
All into preservation and everything, especially for the next generation to remember it.
This is the Leaper Wyatt building, located right on South Boulevard in the busy neighborhood of Dilworth. Designated a local historic landmark 34 years ago. The building was supposed to be torn down to make room for an approved development, but a restaurant group is stepping up to try and save it.
I think the building should be, if it can be preserved, I think that's part of our history of Charlotte.
The Tony Dandel Brown Restaurant Group wants to move the building to an empty parking lot they own. They plan to build a restaurant nearby, just a few blocks away on Cleveland Avenue. Some community members say they are concerned about the congestion in the area and parking. Jamie Brown with the group says they secured a parking lease to help reduce impact during a rezoning meeting on Monday.
My husband and I want to work with this community to move this landmark with as little impact on the neighborhood as possible. That's why we've secured this additional lease and tried to be very responsive with the DCA in their requests. Beyond implementing this off-site lease, we have confidence in city infrastructure that encourages walking and scooters and rideshare programs to get people to and from the space.
Not everyone is convinced.
The petition has a long list of problems in meeting the UDO standards. We agree with the staff the conditions of this site warrant some flexibility and generally do not oppose the use of exceptions here. However, the proposed parking cannot be one of those. The project's location in Dilworth adds to the parking burden already overwhelming the narrow streets.
As the Dilworth neighborhood continues to grow, City Council member Dante Anderson says it is important to preserve its history while also being mindful of the present and future.
We just have to be good stewards and good neighbors and make sure that doing something good for the community, like preserving a building, will not degrade the value of life and experience that the long-term Dilworth membership has always experienced.
Now the project is expected to be back in front of the City Council in the coming months. Live in Dilworth, Jesse Pierre, WCNC Charlotte.
Yeah, some critical pieces to get figured out, Jesse. We appreciate that report as well. Well, new at 6, a Charlotte woman says she lost more than $6,000 after someone drained her bank account, all as her bank failed to flag the fraud.
Tonight, 5 months later, her money is finally back in her account. But that's only after WCNC Charlotte's Nate Morabito asked, where's the money?
There's a lesson here for the rest of us. Even banks' best efforts to protect your money are not perfect. That's why we, the customers, need to be more vigilant too.
$6,235.80.
Kelly Jago's attention to detail is at another level.
There were some minor charges starting on March 25th.
She spent much of her free time in recent months
On April 5th, the available balance was $28.54.
documenting every phone call, filing multiple reports, and going back and forth with Ally Bank,
Between March 25th to April 5th, there were 23 fraudulent transactions.
a bank she says failed to flag thousands of dollars of suspicious transactions over the course of 11 days.
On April 5th, I received the first notifications, which were overdraft notifications.
Initially, letters show Ally would only credit back a little more than $1,000, telling her the bank would help dispute the remaining charges directly with a third-party online payment service where they originated. But that proved unsuccessful.
I felt absolutely hopeless about it, but I was thinking, this is so obvious.
Which left Jago scrambling and out of money.
It's left me in a complete pit of despair financially and also emotionally.
She says leading up to the fraud, she used this nearby ATM and suspects a skimmer accessed her information.
It feels so violating.
There's always a residual risk.
Bill Chu is a cybersecurity expert and professor at UNC Charlotte. He says banks rely on algorithms, which usually consider several factors, including the location of a purchase and a cardholder's spending patterns, to help identify, flag, and stop fraud. And he says generally, they do a good job of alerting customers early, but they're not infallible.
If there's any consolation, that's for vast majority of people, this is not going to be a problem because they have tuned the algorithm so that it's statistically tolerable for people, but it's not perfect.
He says that's why you should log into your account every day to make sure nothing's amiss. Set notifications so you're alerted whenever a transaction hits a spending threshold, and when you can, use a credit card because your money is better protected.
All the money was back.
It took our questions and Jago filing a complaint with the Attorney General's office. But just days before her 30th birthday,
This is the best possible birthday present I have ever gotten.
Ally returned Jago's money months after someone first took it.
We're happy that you're getting your money back. That's your money.
Yes.
You deserve it. Happy birthday.
Thank you so much. This is the best possible resolution. To me, it's the only resolution.
In a statement to WCNC Charlotte, Ally apologized for Jago's experience and the length of time it took to resolve her complaint, telling us the company strives to make the process as easy and stress-free as possible. She's since closed her Ally accounts. Nate Morabito, WCNC Charlotte.
Wow. Well, Nate had some great tips there. Another good reminder to come out of this story for you at home. If your card or money does get stolen, you really have to report it to your bank or credit union immediately. And if you don't, by law, your money might not be protected.
Our digital team has put together an explainer to help you walk through the process if you do find yourself in this type of situation, and other tips to make sure your account is protected. You can find that on our website or inside our mobile app. Just click on the money section and that's where you'll find it. All new tonight at 11 for you. Frustration among some of the retired Charlotte firefighters that we were talking about. It's asking them now, where's the money? They say the city of Charlotte still owes them money after years of fighting for it. With no headway, they're turning to WCNC Charlotte to get city leaders' attention.
The payroll problem behind these pleas made headlines in 2019 when the city settled a lawsuit with retired firefighters who argued their vacation and sick leave payouts were calculated incorrectly. WCNC Charlotte's Julia Kaufman found out why some firefighters say the arrangement burned them on what they were due.
That settlement offered money to firefighters who retired between 2016 and 2019, ultimately fixing their pension problem. But anyone who retired before that 3-year window was out of luck. Saving lives and fighting fires. Clay Morris says it gave him purpose for 28 years.
We like to call we were doing it. So yeah, that's it's just hard to describe.
He retired in 2011 and, per city policy, was given a check for his unused vacation and sick days.
They tell you that this is what you're being paid for your vacation sick time. It was like, well, that's not right.
Crunching the numbers, Morris says he was shorted more than $3,000.
If that calculation is off on your sick and vacation, then your pension's going to be off as well.
President of the Charlotte Firefighters Association, Tom Brewer, says the problem started in 2001 when the city switched payroll systems. Firefighters work different hourly shifts than other city workers, and Brewer says the change affected their pension calculations. A lawsuit filed over this issue by retired firefighter Brian Kurzel against the city led to a settlement in 2019. The city paid a group of firefighters who retired between 2016 and 2019 for their missing vacation and sick pay.
You're kind of in shock. You know, why did you decide 3 years? Why did they get what they were promised, but yet we don't?
Brewer says the payout formula was changed to fix the discrepancy moving forward.
And they did the formula the exact way we'd been saying all this time, but they made us, they made Kurzel and other members go to court, but then they turned their backs on the brothers and sisters like Clay Morris.
Morris argues there's a precedent for widening the scope of the settlement. In 2021, the city discovered an error in 401k contributions for city employees and made corrections back to 2001. He wants the same time frame applied to correcting firefighters' pensions.
We want the same thing they got. We're in the same boat.
The Firefighters Association says it's gotten no response from city leaders on this issue. We also tried getting a comment from the city and council members, but have had no luck yet. We're going to keep trying on that. In studio, Julia Kaufman, WCNC Charlotte.
Julia, thanks for that report. And WCNC Charlotte does want to hold government agencies accountable for how they use taxpayer money. So if you have something you think we should investigate, please email us. You can send us the details at money@wcnc.com.
Turning our attention to a community cornerstone in Davidson, the Ada Jenkins Center is a nonprofit that focuses on food with a long-running food pantry.
But lately, the center has also championed Food for Thought. It provides after-school learning programs for kids in Davidson. And recently, this program expanded to Huntersville, helping children lagging behind their classmates there. Our Larry Sprinkle got a chance to see how the program's making a difference for these kids.
There are over 1,500 students within Huntersville, and just in particular CMS students that are behind in reading and math.
The program is called Learn Works, and it's available now to a whole new batch of students at the Waymer Center in Huntersville.
We're trying to make it accessible, our program, our Learn Works After School Academic Enrichment Program, accessible to the students that need it.
This free after-school program not only drills students on reading and writing, but it also helps build social skills they may not have learned in class or at home.
I would just go home and sit on the couch or watch my iPad upstairs in my bed.
8-year-old Kayla Woods gets a helping hand with her education and extracurricular activities to build up her social skills. Today she learns how